Hello everyone. Hope you are doing well. I'm Ritesh Kumar, social media publicity head at Advantage. On behalf of Advantage, I would like to welcome you all for the webinar on the topic Oilfield Data Analytics with Power BI. I would like to introduce Mr. Destiny Otto, who is well-known expert in the data analytics for oil and gas and also working as a technical lead in TechPed Global. Welcome you, sir. I'll request all participants to keep yourself mute. If you have any doubts, please don't hesitate to ask out, or you can drop your query in the chat box. Yes, sir, the mic is yours.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Hello, can you hear me? All right, thank you very much. Thank you for that introduction. That's a very brief introduction. I want to thank you for the privilege to be in this session today, and I actually want to welcome everybody. I'm going to start in a moment, but I'm just trying to do a quick. I'm just trying to do a quick refresh on my system. So if you don't mind, in a few minutes, 2 minutes or thereabouts, I should be able to share my screen and start the presentation. Okay, greetings everybody, and good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are joining the call from. All right, again, I want to apologize for all the many hitches. I think we probably failed to test run this class before, this session before the class. But let's quickly go into what we have today. Few data analytics with Power BI. So as well as I'm sure you know, Power BI is among the most popular business intelligence software or applications or tools. Yeah, it's among a suite of or a group or family of tools that that is used for modern big data analytics or modern data analytics and visualization. Yeah, so the oil and gas industry, fortunately enough, is not left out. So it has a lot of sorry, there is a noise in the background. I don't know. Please, can you tackle the noise in the background? Can you do something about it?
I've made you the host, sir. You can mute him. Yes.
Okay. You're saying I should do that myself? Hello? All right. Thank you. All right, so the oil and gas industry is not left out, fortunately enough. It's kind of, probably I find a lot of application in the oil and gas industry in different branches, so in different departments. So I think the department that uses most, that finds Power BI, their greatest friend is areas of accounting, areas of finance, and business. The areas that have to do with business decision, top management business decisions. So even though it's an oil and gas company, it's still a business. So basically, you should know that everything about All right. Thank you very much. So we have a lot of, it finds a lot of uses in oil and gas companies, and a lot of application, both oil and gas as a company, as an organization, and then in the areas specific to oil and gas production, oil and gas pricing, oil and gas economics. Yeah, so but however, the aspect we are going to be focusing on today is not areas having to do with oil and gas economics, accounting, or pricing. It's going to be areas having to do with field data. Either as engineers or as data analysts in the industry, you would find that there's a need for a lot of data analytics, field data analytics. Yeah, so we use data analytics as a way of trying to derive insights and answer questions, very, very intelligent questions, or give a level of intelligence to whoever is in need of it, whoever is in need of it. So in this particular case, whatever is your field or whatever it is you are doing, if you are working with field data, you would constantly find the need to do some analytics, yeah, to be able to, particularly those who are working on the field, who are field managers or production managers or whatever the title or the role is, or sometimes you could just call them production data analyst, petroleum data analyst, whatever it is, the title of the role may be. But one of the things you would notice is that management would always be seeking answers to certain questions as regards the field. Let me give you an example of those kind of questions. For example, how much production? What is the average production? How much production are we gaining production? Are we losing production? We did some intervention. We did some intervention activities, and we're expecting a certain level of production gain. Are we meeting up to that? Can we see what is really happening? Which wells are producing? Which wells are what we call bad actors? Which wells should we take off? Should we take offline? Which wells should we, shut down or shut off for now? Which wells should we close in? Which what is the trend like in terms of our water cuts, or in terms of our our net production, our gross production? And questions like these and more are the kind of questions begging for answers. And apart from that, as an intelligent manager or as an intelligent professional working in the field, you want to really gain some insight, even though the question doesn't seem to be there initially. But analytics can help you to gain some specific insights into what is really happening and how to tackle it. Let me give you an example of that. For example, you have a case where two different fields are producing to a particular flow station, and then you want to be able to do what we call production allocation, or you want to do what is properly called production allocation. So sorry. I've not yet changed my screen. I just, the only thing on my screen is the areas we are going to be covering. Yeah, so I'm going to change over there as soon as I'm done with this introduction. All right, so let me just show you what I mean. All right, so and you want to answer some vital questions, and you want to bring in some level of intelligence. Let's say, for example, you have a case where you have two fields producing into a flow station, and sometimes you might want to properly do allocation, right? You want to do allocation properly. It's through data analytics you get the level of intelligence, and you get the you get accurate you get the accurate workflow. You get a proper way, a more precise way of allocating production. So that's just one example out of many. So why from all the production data from the field, you want to get trends that actually explains what is happening. Sometimes you might just think everything might be going on fine. Production, you're having production, increased production as you are probably measuring or seeing in your meters. But what you don't know is that all of a sudden, you are actually producing more gross, but you are more water and not more net oil, or more oil, as we call it, net oil. Yeah, so these are many more things are the things you might want to, there are a lot more, particularly when you want to start talking about building dashboards to monitor different parameters. So in this particular course, or this particular course, field data analytics with Power BI, one of the things, okay, what you see on my screen is just more like a summarized way of viewing what is going to be covered in this course, but not in today's course. Yeah, but because today is merely just 1 to 2 hours, we are going to see how to do something very basic, and just to give you a proper appreciation of what is how these things are done as a data analyst or as an upcoming data analyst. Yeah, so data connection, will start with connecting Power BI to your data source. So your data source can be anything. You can connect, you can do what we call live connection. Yeah, so you connect to a live source. What that means is the data set will be updating real time, as maybe somebody from the field imputes it into Excel, or records, impute it into Excel sheet, or whatever kind of data source. Some companies have applications, even mobile applications, used to enter production records for that day. As soon as it gets into the sheet, they have cloud storage system, for example, SharePoint, and you can connect it directly to SharePoint if your company uses SharePoint. Yeah, so you can connect it directly to Excel sheet on SharePoint. You don't have to download it locally. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so you can do that live connection, but I won't be in this particular section. I won't be doing that. But I think in the full course, I think there's a full course coming up. We'll be doing that fully on how to connect it to live, how to connect your data to live connection. But in this particular course, we are going to see how we are going to connect the application to a device stored in a data set stored in a data source stored in our local machine or local device. Yeah, so after that, we'll do what we call field data, data preparation and transformation. So a field data may have some peculiarities, which is not exactly peculiar, though. It's not exactly peculiar. You see that in generally measurement data, sensor data. You see things like errors, readings, and stuff like that. And what you generally find in data, sometimes you see missing values, null values. You see cases where you have 0 values. And we'll see how to do all those preparation and see how to do transformation, because sometimes the format of the data might not be the format. For example, you might be seeing numbers in string format. So you might want to transform it. Sometimes you might see date. The date is not properly, it's not just properly prepared in a way that is a proper date format. So you see how we can do that in Power BI. hopefully, we are just going to touch a pinch of a pinch of the few things I'm going to point out. We are not going to touch everything, but even those ones we are going to touch, we are just pinching it. So it's quite a lot. 14 hours of is not enough to complete this whole course. Yeah, because there's so much interesting stuff in it. Yeah, so we'll do a little bit of exploratory data analysis. So where we'll begin to look at the distribution of each data. So it's around this point that you will observe whatever problems, you will observe the statistical distribution of the data. You see a statistical description. You look at the mean, you look at the average, you look at the maximum value, the minimum, you look at the standard deviation. And there are important information you can, from these things you look at. From these things you can actually use to make sure you are curating, you are using the right data, and you are using the right approach. So for example, some kind of when you notice a certain kind of distribution in a data, there is a way to handle it. Yeah. So you want to look at the data distribution. There are certain ways different ways to handle certain distribution for depending on the kind of problem you are solving. Yeah, and then you will also see cases of having duplicates and areas where you need to clean the data, which is still part of number 2 anyway. Yeah, but outliers, you see areas where there are outliers. Sometimes sensors may go off bound and start recording strange values, sometimes negative values, or sometimes the person who, or if it's someone who is manually entering the data, which is most often the case, sometimes just mistakes here and there, right? So you then exploring relationships between variables. Sometimes you might find it necessary. Please, I want someone to confirm that you are hearing me clearly. Please, can someone confirm that you can hear me clearly? Hello, guys. Great. All right. Occasionally, if you don't mind, I'll keep asking you to be sure that you are following, guys. Yeah. So you can always use the charts. Okay, good. So talking about relationships or between field variables, occasionally there might be time for you might need to explore and see if there are relationships between variables. For example, the gross production, the net oil production, the gas production, the water cut, the water, or the what we call the BS&W. Yeah, that's the BS&W, which is in a percentage, which is often or mostly reported in percentage format. Yeah, then we have what we call trend analysis. It's at this point we begin to do a lot of things about we need to do a lot of analysis about trying to get insights from the data. Yeah, it's at this point we begin to analyze the trends. Where do we notice a trend? Do we have a trend here? Do we have a trend here? Do we have a trend there? Because sometimes you will see the undulating nature of some of these, or the undulating or stable nature of some of these, because you have high production today, tomorrow you have low production. You might not really know what is going on. You might even be thinking you are if you just look at it that way, you might sometimes not be able to tell what is really happening. But when you begin to do what we call trend analysis, you begin to study and observe that maybe you might actually be having an increase in production these days, or you might be having a decrease in production. And then you'll be able to see the reasons why you are having that increase in production. Was it because we brought online, out of the 50, 70 wells we have, we brought online some new wells, 5 new wells that we weren't producing before, or that we are previously shut down? Or sometimes it could be that you suddenly opened up some wells and you discover that you are having a reduction in production. It is through field data analytics you will even know. Even though field data analytics is technically, it's not exactly engineering. So sometimes it's not exactly like petroleum. It's not exactly petroleum engineering. So going into core details of petroleum engineering or subsurface and surface engineering, you might need to consult the subsurface team or the reservoir engineering, production engineering team. Yeah, so that's why you work together. In fact, you are part of their team. You are probably a production engineer yourself. Yeah. So when you notice some of the trends, you notice some insights. it could even suggest to you, okay, we're having a problem, a reservoir engineering problem, or we're having, from your analytics, you can actually find out or figure out some of this. Yeah. Then analyzing field performance by, analyzing performance by field. So we have what we call field by field analysis. We have what we call well by well analysis. Yeah, so you want to see their performance, you want to see what is happening. Are we doing better than last year, around this time last year? Or you want to compare it with 6 months ago, yeah, or a year ago. Or you want to just see what is happening. Yeah, so that's it. Then there's what we call decomposition trees. They are very important. Although we will not be treating that today, what we'll be treating among these ones I've listed under trend analysis will just be treating number 5, which is analyzing trends for field, analyzing trends in field data production data. So that's basically what we'll be looking at. We'll look at how to, observe carefully increase and decrease in production. Then we'll go over to interpretation and insights from the field. Identifying key influencers. So there is a technique you, as a data analyst, you can use to identify what exactly are the things influencing our production, what are the actions we recently took, or what are the things increasing over the years that have been increasing over time, that have been increasing our production or influence, what are the key influencers of production. So there is a way to do it. Unfortunately, we will not be doing that today. Identifying bad actors. So bad actors are wells that are actually affecting the production. You suddenly brought online some wells and you notice that these wells are kind of affecting the production instead of increasing it. Or even if they were already there, but the wells were already producing, not that you just recently brought it online. Somehow you as a tactful professional, you're able to use a technique to identify the wells that are causing this drawback. Yeah, so that's identifying bad actors. And then we have estimating average water cuts and all that. Then Power BI has some built-in tools that operate based on artificial intelligence and can use to give you interpretations of trend. Apart from interpretation, it can give you what we call anomaly detection. Anomaly detection, anomaly is simply when something is wrong from the normal pattern and it's not that visible, but through the help of the AI feature, you can actually detect what is wrong in that trend. Yeah, what is out of bound. You might not see it per se, but you can actually tell. It will actually point out those things that are going out of the normal. Yeah. So when a certain well has started misbehaving, this is not how it would normally behave. It produces certain amount of BS and W as compared, because it's normally a ratio of net and water cut and maybe the gross and then the net, stuff like that. You are looking at the ratio and all of a sudden it's having an anomaly. It hasn't behaved like this in a long time. It hasn't, or from whenever you have, as far back as when you have data, and then you suddenly notice an abnormal behavior. That's an anomaly. So we'll talk about reporting and dashboards. So one of the key things of one of the key strengths of Power BI is visualization and dashboarding. Mostly what you'll be doing in Power BI is 70% visualization. So what that means is you are going to be using charts and all that all the time, different kind of charts. The good thing about Power BI is that you have a lot of charts in Power BI, but then it's not limited to those charts. You can actually integrate. I do it all the time. You can actually write Python scripts and use that to create your own charts. And apart from that, there are charts in the marketplace that people upload, different visuals, kind of visuals people upload that you can actually add. You can add more visuals to the ones that are built in Power BI. So that makes it very, very broad. And so talking about field reports, you might need to create reports all the time as a data analyst. You might need to create reports. In fact, you need to create reports all the time. What is happening? The managers want to know, are we having this? Are we having an increase in this? Are we having an increase in that? Are we having a decrease? What should we do? You know, one thing in data analytics is not just about you being able to, you know, load in data into Power BI and do some transformation and do some modeling, data modeling, and then, you know, create very nice visuals. You know, that's one thing. You know, one mistake a lot of data analysts, you know, they are good in those, but the key thing in data analytics is finding insights and solutions. So there was a time my boss where I work, I was there was a field that was producing, yeah, and having some issues. And you know, my boss told me, hey, Destiny, look into this field and tell us what, because we have been trying all this while, and for some reason we are not able to find out what exactly was wrong. Now, when I began, what exactly is happening, why we are not able to Hello, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I was trying to. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know. This thing suddenly went off again. So I was trying to give an example. There was a time when I was doing a particular analysis, and I figured out the only thing that this field needed was just an increase in. They never. I mean, the whole team never thought about it. Was just an increase in the compressor runtime. And if by any means you could have an increase in compressor runtime, that is an increase in the compressor capacity, this field will produce far more than it is producing. And because, the organization having quite a number of compressors, but wasn't using them, right? Because they didn't know that, it was looking like, they already had, they were looking like it wasn't, let me put it this way, they didn't know that the compressor capacity is limiting the amount of production. And so by just carrying out in-depth analysis, I was able to figure out that, okay, see, if we have, I noticed that there is a strong relationship over time with the compressor hours. So whenever you have a higher compressor hours, you seem to have higher inflow into the flow station, right? So apart from a certain threshold, after a certain threshold, I noticed that from a certain threshold, you have higher proportionate increases in both the net and the gross inflow into the station, right? So at that particular point, I was able to give that suggestion, and the result was really, really, really fantastic, right? Like the number of barrels or the number of nets that was added was quite amazing, right? So one of the things your data analytics in the field would help you to do is to discover opportunities and to make intelligent decisions, right? So I was talking about field reports. Let me come back here. Seems like, okay, so there are techniques in building dashboard reports. You need to make your dashboard appealing. You need to make it nice. And there are several rules to it. So we'll look at that, but we won't do that today. We won't look at everything about, we won't look at dashboard design and everything about dashboard and reporting today. Yeah, so in a proper course, we are going to talk about how you can prepare your dashboard and make it look nice. And I know some of you may have been seeing a lot of things online on how you can. Hello guys, are you seeing my screen, please? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. You can see.
Yeah, so we'll see how to make some of those super amazing dashboards you probably see online in places. And but we'll not do them here now. We'll do them in a proper full course. So let's quickly delve into what we have, because this is more like a hands-on session, and we are going to see how quickly we can go through. So let me show you what we have first. So from a field or from a particular asset, we have in the Niger Delta, which is a major oil producing area in Africa. This is what we have. We have something like this. This is this field. Okay. Okay. We have this field with different names. The names might not be maybe the names you are used to from your country or something. So, but that shouldn't be a problem. Yeah. So we have this field, and we are trying to see how to answer some important questions from the data set we have here. Yeah, so let me introduce you to the data. So this data is a record of the field, reports, daily reports from the field. So you have the reporting date, you have the production date. So you have daily reports from the field, you have the gross, the net, you have the BS and W. Then these strings here just count the number of wells in production. So you see that in this particular case, it was 21 on the first day, second day it was 21, but the next day it has increased to 24. That means they opened up more strings, maybe about 3 strings. Yeah, about 3 strings. And then back to maybe down to 31. So then it remained at 31, which means that the default number of strings will probably be around 31 there. When you go down, you see that it became 30. It's just varying depending on the add value. Number one, depending on the technical guys on the field. When they see a particular well is misbehaving or for some reason, this is particularly important for wells that have brownfield assets. Brownfield assets, because they have a lot of challenges, and you want to make sure you maximize the value from them, right? So sometimes a particular well can start misbehaving, and then it will be shutting temporarily. Maybe it's not producing up to sustainable or economic. There's an economic limit with which you can use to sustain or evaluate the value of any well, right? So every time, based on the price of crude oil, that you analyze and you know the particular wells that are producing at the economic limits and the ones that are not producing at the economic limits. So as the price of crude changes, some wells may actually be shutting because the economics does not sustain or it's not feasible to keep the well producing, right? So at other times, there are just technical issues that, and then at other times, it could just be people in the field, not for some reasons, not putting on the well. And at several other times, it could also be challenges with community people and different reasons why. There are a lot of reasons why wells may be producing and may not be producing. So sometimes the well just stops producing for a moment and then it starts again. So those are some of the challenges you see with some of these wells. Sometimes it's some equipment, for some reasons it was shut or closed or shut down and all that. So this is the data we have, and we have something called ratios here. I think ratios is just showing the percentage of BS and W, right? Then we have some other parameters here. I don't think there are data in these ones. I think they are mostly blank. Then we have the comments. So every day there's comments from the field. There are comments from the field, the guys in the field, and they give their comments on what they think may have happened. So we're going to see how to use analytics to, to derive some insights from this particular data. Here's another field called Itako East, of WEN, and so many other fields like that. So let's look at this is for production for January 2022. If you notice, the date starts from January, and let me increase this a bit. It starts from January 1st. The report date is slightly different from the production date. The report one day after. Then it stops around maybe June. Yeah, June. So, but we also have production data for 2021, for the whole of 2021. We are still around September 2022, so we have not gone. So this is what we have for this. So we have the same thing here. Now, apart from that, we also have a data set that has, this should not be it. Okay, I'm going to show you that later. Okay, we also have a data set that has a lot of information around there is a particular field, Kwale, one of the fields there, that should be Kwale West. And you see things about the gas rate, oil rate, see the names of the reservoir, names of the wells, and so many other information here. We're going to come to this if time permits, but we're going to start with this one is from a particular flow station that serves a particular field. So you notice that production from individual wells are not available, just the production from the field. So this is where what we're going to do. We are going to do a field analysis, to analyze the trend. Then if time permits, we are going to come to this particular data, which actually has the individual well, see the well names and the production rates. So before we go on, this is Power BI. I want to know if there are people who actually are familiar with, even though we are focusing on the problem solving, the analysis, the solution you can bring up, even though that's our focus, sometimes it might still be good we have, because of course what you'll be using for is the tools, what you'll be using for your analysis is the tools. So it's still good. In fact, it's important you know how to use the tools first. So we might not be able to do a lot of solution, analyzing, analytics and all that with the time we have, but at least we'll be able to touch on some basics of the tools and get to a point in trying to, solve some problems. But I want to first of all find out from the audience, let me know your level, let me know what exactly it is you are doing, what exactly it is, where exactly you are in terms of what you can do. So let me ask this way. How many of you are using Power BI for the first time? You have not used it before? Or let me put it this way. How many of you are familiar with Power BI? If you are familiar, you can just use the chat box to let me know so that I'll see how we'll go about this class to make sure everyone is carried along. I hope you can hear me, guys. Hello, guys. Can you hear me? I want to know, are you okay? I want to see your comments. Is this your first time using Power BI? Can you indicate? If it's your first time using Power BI, just kindly indicate. Okay, someone says he knows the basics. Okay, 2% says yes. That means it's their first time using Power BI. Okay, I just need a few more answers before I move forward. Any more persons? Okay, says he never used Power BI before. Okay, one more response, then I will start. One more response, then I will start. All right, someone says he's having knowledge about it. He has created more than 10 dashboards. Another person says yes, first time. Okay. So in order to carry, I think there are more persons who are using it for the first time. In order to carry everybody along, we'll have to start from the, we'll just see how to start from the very basics of loading in data and all that. So let's see. So we have a file already, Power BI, my Power BI already open here. I just named it FDSC2. That's a field data analytics part 2. Sorry, 2, yeah. Then I'm going to start by loading in data by, you can start from here or you just start here, browse reports. Sorry, create a new data if I like. A new file is if I like by clicking here. Or I browse reports, that means files or reports I already have in my system. So I already have one opened, and yeah, so I'm and saved FDAC2. So I'll start with getting data. You come to get data over here, and you come here. So you can get data from multiple sources. You can get from the web, that's online. You can get from a text or CSV file. There are several other. You can get from an SQL server, and you can even create a blank query by yourself. Now, I'm going to be getting my data from an Excel workbook. So I'll click on Excel here, and it's going to open up this window, asking me to select what I want. So I want to select this January 2021. This is the data set I just showed you, and I'm going to open this. So what happens is that it's going to open up this. It's going to open up this navigator. From this navigator, one of the things you will notice is it's going to be showing you all the tabs in that file. So if I open this file now, you will notice that these are the tabs: full assets, zero, and all that. Right. So it's going to just let us select whichever ones we want to use, and we don't want to use all. So I'm going to select, we just want maybe 3. We shouldn't, I don't want us to import, to do so many. No, let's see, let's take Kwale West. Let's take Ozoro. Okay. I think this 3 will be fine. Or do we take off where instead of Itaquist? No, let's just leave it that way. So now, I will not wait for the preview. I'll just go to transform data, because I want to do some transformation of data. And if I go here, it's going to take me to Power Query. Yeah, so Power Query is, it's one powerful, application. Microsoft users, Excel users would at least know a little bit about it. If you have used Excel, you should have seen Power Query, but Power Query is used to transform data, to query data, and it just makes everything, easy, So Power Query Editor is going to make it easy for us to query data and to perform some kind of, initial, transformation, cleaning, and all that. Now, this is what we have. This is the Power Query Editor. And, see what we have. We have something like a column here. We have these null values, and we'll need to clean them up. And to do that, we'll just remove the top rows. That means remove these few rows here. Yeah, because we don't need those rows. See where the data starts and see where we have the headers, the column headers. So to remove that, you come to remove rows, remove top rows. And one of the things about Power Query Editor, you cannot work cell by cell. You have to work column by column, work with the whole data set as a whole. So I'm going to remove the top 3 rows from all the columns. So that would automatically clean up this. I think there's still a row here. I don't know if this is, okay, let's remove one more. Okay, before that, let me see this. Okay, let's remove one more. Okay. Okay, I think that was it. Now, if you notice on my right, I want to go back, but if you notice on my right, I want to undo what I just did. On my right, you see something called applied steps, and you see the log, kind of a log of the steps we have taken. So if, for example, you want to go back on any of the steps, you can use this navigation. If you want to delete what you just did last, you can actually delete it. Now, this is really pretty amazing. Some persons you might not really get why, but when you begin to work, when you really begin to do a lot of work, and you see that you want to apply these same kind of changes to so many data sets. Let's say you have a lot of tables or queries here. Sometimes you could have up to 50 queries here or 20, and there are so many tables, and you want to work on them. So let's say they are very similar tables. You wouldn't want to repeat all that you just did for this table, one after the other. One good thing you can do is to copy all these queries, all these steps, and just apply them across all the tables or queries. And that, I think, it's really fantastic. I use it all the time, and I'll probably use it here. So, and one way to do that is to use what we call advanced editor, right? I won't really go deep into all this right now because, of course, the class is not meant to do for all that, right? But it's just to give you a basic appreciation. So at this point, I want to undo what I just did last. Now, another interesting thing is you can change anything here without having to go back one by one. If I want to jump, and now there are some changes that Power BI automatically makes as soon as you load in the data. And two of those changes you notice, two of those steps rather, you notice this is navigation, this is change type. Now this change type, it basically is just telling you that Power BI changed the data type to suit what it thinks is right. Yeah, so that's this change type. It assigned a particular, so if it's a string, it assigned a string, an integer and all that. So that's automatically done. This navigation just shows where you got the data from your source, how you navigated from your source to the tables you got, we selected, yeah. So you could actually, and then this is the first change I did. I removed the top rows, and there's the second one I removed. Did I actually remove any column? So I didn't remove any column. Maybe it just automatically went off. So I'm going to remove this. I don't know if I did, but okay. I'm going to remove this, and at the same time, I'm also going to remove this last step I took. Yeah, so there are a few things that Power BI automatically does for you. For example, if a column is, if a row, there are a number of things, and I believe we're going to see them as time goes on, right? So, but here we have the number one, the first row here, and we have these headers here. So you want to do what we call promoting headers to promoting the first row to be a header, which you will just do like this. So you say use first row as headers. And once you do this, you have this. Now, you would notice this. I thought I removed this. Okay. So you will notice this. We have report dates and all that. Now, we want to select specifically because there are so many columns here. You'll see if you look down here, you see we have 59 columns, and we are not going to be using all these columns, apart from the fact that most of those columns are even useless and not having any data. So we are going to select just the ones we want. And how do we do that? We are not going to start deleting all the columns we don't want. We are going to select the ones we want, and those are the ones that will stay. So I hold Control, I'll click on the ones I want. These are the ones I actually want, the BSNW, the net, the gross, and I also want the remarks. Okay, the comments, right? So, and then I'll go to remove columns, and then I'll remove other columns. If you remove other columns, you keep the one you selected. So I only wanted the production date, not the report date. So that's why I did not select the report date. And so this is what we have. This is what we have. So we have now notice this here. This shows, this calendar here shows that it's a date format. And 1, 2, 3 in whole shows that this is a whole number or integers. And this one shows is a fraction or a float. Like decimal is a float. This is how most numbers in mathematics would be normally because they have decimal points. Yeah, so the same thing with this one. And if you notice the string is just the same as the gross. Now, that is evaluating the format. Then we have the comments, which of course is the string, right? So this string basically here just stands for the wells. So, the reason why it's strings is because some wells have more than one string. Some wells may have 2, 3 strings, multiple dual string. So treating them as different wells, just calling all of them strings is it kind of seems fine. Yeah, so here's what we have, but I want to have my gross more like a decimal number. So it's going to have that format. Now, before we delve into this, let us quickly do a fast, quick exploratory analysis on each of these columns. So I'm going to go to my view tab, and I'm going to go to column distribution. I'll go to column quality. I select it. Now you will notice that this thing appears here, which shows a few things about the data. Because this data is much. If you look, we have 365 rows, 6 columns. So you might not be able to scroll through all that and figure out and find out every single thing about the data by just eyeing it or using your eyes. So this automatically helps you to see what's happening. If there's any part of the data that's having an error as a result of the format, let's say you have a number, but somewhere within the data there is something that is a string, or that's a kind of a number format that is not aligning with the rest, it's going to come out as an error. And then you have empty. If there's any empty value, it's going to show the percentage of the values you have there that are empty. Yeah. So if I hover over this, you even see the specific number of rows that are valid, and then as a percentage, number of rows that are having errors. The same thing applies. Now, if you look at this particular one, you will see that in the net, about 8 of them are empty, and there's no error though, right? But if you look at the BS and W, over 32% are empty. That's quite a huge one. And then if you look at this, the comments, 60% of the rows do not have any comments, just have null, right? So these are some of the things you might want to know. You might want to carry out further insights into this by looking at the profile. Yeah, so of course, to give you the count. So this is for a whole year. So we have 365 dates there. And then you have error, you have all this. Now, it tells you there are distinct. Now, look at this carefully. Okay, this is not the dates. Let me click on the dates. Okay, so look at this carefully. This is where you can notice an error. If, for example, this is a date column, which it is, and you notice that there are supposed to be distinct dates, distinct values for the dates, and you notice that this is not the number it's supposed to be, and it's not distinct. You know that some dates are either missing. It's not, because we already know that this is supposed to be like a year is 365 and this data for 365. You can know what is happening within, and there's a problem. The same thing with the unique shows, the unique will help you know if there are duplicates. Yeah, the unique will help you know if there are, the distinct and the unique will help you know, together will help you to know if there are duplicates. Yeah. So if you see the unique less than the distinct, or if you see the unique less than distinct, you could actually know if there are duplicates. So then you have the mean and the max. So we have the lowest value of the date, that's the first date, and then the max should be the last date, which of course is 31st of December, and this average around the middle. So this is for the date column. If you want to check up other, you can of course check up other columns and whatever is there. So now some of the other things you might want to check up, for example, in the gross, you will notice that in this distribution, it has a lot of zeros, like zeros as values. You can tell over 32% of the values are zeros, so a lot of zero values. So this will already begin to tell you how what you need to do in terms of handling this data. So sometimes for some kind of analysis, you might need to remove zeros depending on what you want to do. So for some kind of analysis, you might not need to remove zeros. Yeah, so this is what we have, and these are some unique values, which of course can be any value, right? So if you are, of course, if you are familiar with the field, you would know that it has, you know what is it about the field. You know the kind of values you have to expect. But if you begin to see pretty high value, you can begin to see the distribution from here, right? So if you have more, if you are familiar with the field, you can tell when this data is having its fault, is having problems. It has data quality issues. It has data quality issues from here. So all these things is just for you to curate your data and be sure that you are using, you are sure of the quality of your data, right? The data you are using. So these are some of the things you might want to know. So in this particular case, everything seems smooth and easy and straightforward. And we'll be let's go into how we can. Let's quickly, let me remove this profile. Another way to see this very fast is to use the column distribution, and you'll see them here. This shows 249 distinct, 247 unique. What does this mean? So what this simply means is that there are 249 very different values. You understand? Yeah, but so some of them, like about 2 of them, were actually duplicates. Yeah, so
The Bluetooth. The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
hello? Hello, can you guys hear me, please? Hello?
Yes, sir, audible.
Hello? Hello? Please, can you guys, okay, you said yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, good. So I was sorry about that. I think it was a network issue or something. So here's what we have, and you can actually visualize some of these things here. So going forward, you might want to apply these same steps to these other queries. Now, but the problem with this is let's reload this particular query. Let's reload this particular query. That was 2021. Good. the problem with this is you would have to ensure that these sheets are exactly the same in terms of the number of columns. There's a lot of similarity. There's a kind of a mirroring within these sheets, among the sheets. Like the column names have to be the same names and they have to have the same position. Yeah, if not, if you apply this, when, for example, if the production date is here instead of here, if you copy the apply steps from the previous one and you apply it here, you of course get the report date in place of the production date. So if these report sheets, if the Excel sheets are exactly the same in terms of the arrangement, you have each column exactly the same as the other Excel sheets, the other data source. All you just need to do is to copy the steps you applied in the previous one and then apply it. How do I do that? Let me just quickly do that using the advanced editor. I'm not going to explain so much about it right now, but I'm just going to use it so that you see it. So I'll go to this one. I've finished applying all the steps. Sometimes this data set seems clean and everything looks fine, but many times you discover that the data set is not that easy. You might need to do a lot of steps before you get the data ready for analysis. Yeah, so for analytics. So, but in this case, we are cruising, so everything seems easy because we are using the data set that is easy. Yeah, so I'm going to go here in this Ozoro field, and then I'm going to go to the advanced editor. I'm going to copy this code here. So don't worry, you don't need to you don't even need to know anything being done here as a code. You don't need to write any code. But I'm just going to copy all these codes from this point where we have remove top rows, yeah, because the chain type comes automatically with, was done automatically. So it's going to also be done automatically in the Quali West. Now, before that, one of the things you will notice is while you are copying, if I scroll right, you will notice that this ended with a comma. Just take note of that, right? That line ended with a comma. Okay, that's this. Is it this line? Okay, this is the line I want to. Yeah, this line, it ended with a comma. You might just, every line always ends with a comma until the last line, right? It's only the last line that will not end with a comma. Just take note of that. So we have copied everything here up to this point of removing top rows. Again, you see why it has to, let's go back to Quali. So like I said, it has to be exactly the same. If, for example, the number of rows here at the top are not 3, you might need to do some editing in the code, but you might need to do some editing in the code, but it's not going to work if you just put in the same code and use that to run the editor. So use that to run this query. So I'm going to go to the advanced editor of the Quali West, and then I'm going to paste. I'm going to go from here. I'm going to paste everything here. This one is out of alignment. Let me align it properly. Now, you can see there's a warning symbol here, token, comma, expected. So I'll go to that. I'll go to the end of the last table. I think something is missing here. Okay, let's not mind that. I'll go to the end of this last code here. I'm going to put a comma here, and then it says no syntax error have been detected. I'm going to click on done, and let's see what happens. Okay, so the problem is the type. One of the steps was skipped. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to just do a small tweaking here. Go to the advanced editor. I'm going to copy it with this change type. Yeah. Now click on done. I'll go back and advanced editor here. I'm going to copy it from here. Now, the only thing I'm going to change is this Ozoro sheet. I'm going to change it to Quali West. Quali West. Yeah. And then I'll put a comma at the end of this. Where's the comma expected? Okay. Just give me a moment. Let me go back there and copy this. Copy it once again. Change type. Okay. The West. Okay, so I could click on done now. Sorry, there's a problem with the name. Okay, I know what to do. Let's rename this quickly. All right. So it's advisable we don't put spaces in between. All right. I'll have to refresh it. I have to refresh the query. What is not spelled correctly? This is 21. Okay. Okay, let's try it with the TAC West before we come back to this. It seems it's having some error which I'm not picking up immediately now. Okay. So let's put it here. Let's delete this whole. All right. So I'm going to call this. That should be all. There's a comma expected here. All right, so let's go. All right, so basically what is happening here is that there's a little discrepancy in the table, in the table arrangement. So what's going to happen? We'll have to do it. We'll have to, we'll have to do it manually. Let's just do it manually because the table don't seem to be aligning. So I'm going to clear all this off and click on done. Okay, I'm still going to clear the remaining parts. I'll just reload. I'll just reload the data. So I'm going to go to data source setting, and then I'm going to go to change source. Well, yeah. I could still reload the data since I'm running into a little problem. Just reload the, let me reload the query. All right. Valley West, Ozoro, and what was it we chose? Taco. All right. Let's reload this query. We've gone too far in a lot of mistakes. I'll delete the previous ones. Okay. I'm going to use this one. This one is having a little problem. What exactly is the problem of this? All right. So what happened here is, let me just delete this query. I don't need it. What happened here is a case where I was just trying to warn against. The cells are not, the sheets are not aligning, the tables are not aligning. So let me just quickly, since it's a little kind of easy, let's quickly just do it manually. BS and W strings, and what again? The comments, right? We just need the comments. Okay, good. So, and then I could actually just remove the rest of the columns. And then the same thing with the rows, I could remove the 3 top rows. Could remove the 3 top rows, and then we'd have 3 here. Okay, and then I'll promote, use the first row as header, and that's what we have. So we can actually do other data curation stuff here, like the column profile, just to be sure. We have 365, 365. So that's basically it for the dates. Then could also do for others. But let's go to this, and then I'll select the production date, the gross, have the net, the BS&W, the number of strings online. Then finally, we have the comments. All right, the comments. So at the end of the day, this is what we have. I'll remove these columns that are not needed, and then I would also remove the rows that are at the top because they're not useful. And at the end of the day, this is what we have. Okay, I'll also use the first row as headers. So if you look carefully, we have 6 columns, 365 rows for Itako East. The same thing for Itako, Cali West, and Ozoro. So we have 6 columns each and 365 rows. So one good practice I usually advise, or I usually encourage, is to, instead of handling this data individually, I strongly recommend merging or appending them rather. Yeah, do what we call appending. But before the appending, these are different fields. So I want us to add a fixed column to this data, to add a custom column to this data that would give the name of the field. So let's say field name. You see, I went to add column, then custom column, and then I'll write for Ozoro, I'll just write the name of the field. So this is going to be like an extra column added to the data set, but everything is going to be Ozoro. All the rows will be Ozoro. Yeah, so you can see it field name. I'll do the same for Quali West custom function, and then I'll call it field name, uppercase, and then I'll call this Quali West. Quali West, let me put it in lowercase. All right, and I'll click on OK. Now I'll do the same for Itako East. I'll add a custom column and I'll call it field name. And then I'll call it Itako East. Notice how I'm putting it in within 2 quotation marks. right? And I'll click OK. Now, so we have field name here. We have the same for Quali West, and we have the same for Zoro. Now, in appending data sets, one of the things you must take note of is that every column name must match if you're going to get a good merging. So gross in Ozoro, first uppercase and the remaining lowercase must be the same as this gross. If there is any discrepancy, how you would know is that there will be a creation of an extra column. So you're going to have an extra column by the time you have appended all the data sets together. So but you can quickly note that we have 7 columns. Okay, we have 7 columns here. We have 7 columns here, and we have 7 columns. If after the appending there is an extra column, you will just know that that's because somewhere the names, the field names or the column names rather do not match. So that's why you must ensure that they are all matched. So I won't be able to demonstrate that to you, but we'll just append. Let's just append them. I'm hoping that there will be no problem with that. And so you could actually do this in 2 ways. You could append queries and form a new query altogether, which is one I always go for. And then you could just merge all of them into one query. So if you append as a new query, it's going to form a 4th query on your right-hand pane. But if you append, it's going to put all the queries into one. So I'm going to go for append queries as new. Now, when you append, there are 2 options here, which is 2 tables, 3 or more. In this case, in our case, we have 3. So we'll go for 3 or more. And then we have Itaku East there. I'll put Ozoro, and then I'll put, of course, Quali West. Now, one of the things you would know, or you will notice is, or you will see quickly, quite easily. So we have this order. So basically what we are doing, appending simply means we are joining tail to tail. So you have the whole of Itaku East, then you bring up Ozoro, you join it beneath it. You bring up Quali West, you join it beneath it. That's basically what the appending does. So by the time I do this, click on OK, we'll have a new column called append 1. Now, notice something. Remember that Itaku, see the new column called append 1. Notice that Itaku East has 365 columns. Quali West has 365 columns. Same thing as Ozoro. But look at the append. It has over 999 columns. It has over 999 columns. 99 plus, that means have over 1,000, which is a summation of the 3 formation of the 3 columns. Now let's change this name. I'll just call it assets because it's asset wise, right? All the 3 fields are owned by the same asset owners. So I'll just call this the assets, and I'll do. So basically, this is what we have. Let me remove this view for the column distribution. And the column. All right, so this is what we have. And we don't have any extra columns, so we are good to go. We still have 7 columns. So that means our headers matched accurately. So the next thing I want to do is to close and apply. Close and apply. So that we can go over to our dashboard and start doing some more fun, some more interesting stuff. All right, so with this, we are more than ready. You will see the importance of why I had to append those data sets. You will see the reason for appending. The reason is so that when we create filters, we can instead of creating plots for different fields, each of the 3 fields differently or separately, we can actually have a single plot and we'll make it dynamic, right? We'll make it interactive. All right, so Power BI has 3 main sections. So currently we are in the visual the visual section, we have the part called the table, and we have the part called the data modeling. I will not do much of this here. You see, you will not do much of this here because of time. But in the main course, we are going to take time to see how you can connect tables and interlink and relate tables in more sophisticated problems, right? So let's go back to the visuals. That's where we are really heading towards. So if you look by the right, you see the name of those queries you imported. You have asset, you have itacoist too. Of course, you can change the name if you want. You can rename. Let's remove that too. Let's just call it itacoist. I believe there's not that query. All right. All right, good. Okay, since there's another query, that's why it keeps naming. Okay, good. All right. These are the queries that are available, and we have. So basically, we are going to focus on the asset, because the asset is more like the summation of or inclusion of all the data sets in one, right? So let's start by building a simple visual. So this on this tab here by the right, so where you have your different visuals, right? Visual elements. So very powerful visual elements, depending on whatever it is you want to do, right? So let's say you want to, for example, let's start by building a simple line plot. Yes. Let's say, what are we trying to do, for example? Let's say we are trying to do a report on, by the way, let's look at these parameters here, what they mean. I believe you know what BS and W mean. It's more like the fraction of the water cuts in percentage. You have the comments. Those are comments from the field. Before that, I want to show you guys something quickly in the transformation before we go forward, because we might need to import the other data as well. I want to show you something. Okay, I'm going to show you that by the time we are done with this session, this particular part. Now, let's look at, we have a line plot, and as soon as I selected this line plot and we have it here on this canvas, you'll notice that there is a section here open for you to fill up various fields. You have the X and Y section. So we are going to plot a trend of the production, the gross production over time. So this is the production data. I'm going to put it in the X-axis. And so you have what we call, different hierarchy, data hierarchy, right? So we're going to explore what that means if time permits, but this is what we have, but I could change it to production data so that it doesn't regard the data hierarchy. And then on the y-axis, I want to plot, remember I said I want to plot gross. So we would have, no, I just need gross. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so we would have something like this. We'll have something like this. And if you look closely, you will see that you have on, sorry. You have on the canvas, you have something that looks like, I mean, some of you that are familiar with this, yeah, a visual that represents the fluctuation of the production data up and down, right? So this is a time series plot showing the production over time, right? But of course, there are a lot of other things you can do here. For example, if you want to concentrate or focus on this visual, you can take it to the focus mode, and you can just close this whole thing. And you can, but apart from doing that, apart from the focus mode, let's take it back to report. Apart from the focus mode, another way to, you might want to zoom in on particular areas sometimes, you might want to zoom in on a particular area sometimes. So what you can do is this. You see this format icon appearing here. Once you select the stick, will come over here. Once you select the chart, it will come over here and go to zoom slider. And then this will enable you to focus on specific areas of the plot. So, but one of the things you will notice about this chart is that there is a lot of places where there are zero values. So you can see zero, zero, a lot of zeros around here. When there were just those periods are when there were no production, and you can see a lot of zeros here. Now, this is just a simple chart to show. This is not, we have not really started doing an analysis or answering the questions we ought to answer or want to answer, right? Now, while we are still on this, occasionally you might want to plot a more useful chart. Sometimes could be the area chart. You might want to the stacked area chart, because occasionally you might want to see the difference between the net and the gross together. So let's look at the net production. Let's bring in the net. Now, if you look carefully, there is still a space here for you to add, to drag in. See the way I'm dragging in these items, for those of you that are not familiar with. There's still, you could drag in the net production and it would have something like this. And we have a stacked area chart showing the net production. I'm not sure why this is. Okay, showing the net production and the gross production. So, of course, you can reformat this because the net will always be lower than the gross, right? You can reformat this to have the net down there and the gross above it. So, but before that, this is just a simple way to give a report on the gross and the net flowing together, right? So you can see and notice when there is beginning to be a disparity, like a difference. Let's focus on this part of the plot between February and April, okay? You begin to notice when there is a separation, when there's an increasing gap or there's an increasing difference. So with this, it kind of shows this at a glance. And of course, you can always change these colors to whatever you want, right? Yeah, so before we start going thoroughly into analyzing and answering questions, let's do some more visuals. And let's do some more visuals just to, keep things going. So another visual I might want to do is this one, a line chart and a line chart and a stacked column chart. Now, why I want to do this is because I want to bring in the string. Now, sometimes, okay, let me first of all bring in the production dates in the x-axis and use date instead of hierarchy. And then, so many times while you are doing your analysis, you want to bring in the number of strings because of course your analysis should include the number of strings. So a good way to represent that could be the use of an area chart together with a line chart. But you won't find an area chart together with a line chart here, but however, you can import it. I can click on here and get more visuals. I'm not logged into my company account right now, but if you are logged in, if you can log into your company account, you can get more visuals, yeah. That will help you to, of course, for free, that will help you to visualize that, right? So you have an area chart and a line plot. Now, so the line plots, in my case, I love using the line plots to represent. So I would click and drag this here to represent the number of strings while I show my gross and my net in form of a stacked bar. So this kind of will enable me to really visualize what is happening. Now, if you ask, what exactly am I showing, or what exactly are you showing? This shows the data for all the fields. But many times in the reports, you will not, they will not just want to see management or whoever is looking at it. You might not just want to see all the reports. So you might want to see, like I said, it has to be interactive. You want to see all the fields one after the other, according to your choice, or you want to look at all of them. So that's where you bring in the concept of a slicer. Yeah, so this where it is. I click on it and I have the visual, and it has just one field you need to fill in, and I'll drag in the field name. So that is, see why it's important. I created a field name in such a way that I could actually use it in this slicer. And it looks somehow, it's not exactly the way I would want it. So I'll come here to I could come here and use a drop down by changing it to a drop down here. And then by the time I click here, I have it, but it's kind of weird, isn't it? So I would prefer it this way, but I'll go here. This is what I do about what you do about it. I'll go here and I'll change this slicer setting. I'll change it to vertical, I'll change it to horizontal. And so we'll have something like this, but I'm going to reduce this. And so what this will do is that it's going to give me the capacity to view each field individually. So if I want to view for Itako East alone, this is what it's going to show like. And if I want to view for Kwali West, this is what it's going to show like. And if I want to view for Ozuru. Now, what if I want to view all at the same time? You can just see, on select all. But a better way to do it, there is a better way to do that by coming to here and go to this option, selection. And that's what we call show select all. And if I click on this, it's going to add an extra button here called select all. So once I click on this, it kind of selects all. But if I click on Ozuru, select only Ozuru, and you see how the data quickly reformats to show Ozuru. Now, that is not all. There's quite a lot we are still going to do, or sorry, we can do. Now, there's still a lot, but time is really not on our side, but let's see how we can. Sorry, do we still have more time? Do we still have more time? Seems it's 5 GMT already. Who is on the call? Hello, guys. Can you confirm that you are following, please? Is anybody following? Is anyone following, please? It looks like I lost some persons. I don't know if you are following. Please, if you are following, like you are understanding what is being taught, can you indicate, or if you have a question too, you can indicate at this point before we move forward. Understand we have very limited time with us. Can you confirm that you are understanding, guys? You're on point. We're on the same page, please. I need you guys to confirm that. Okay, I'm seeing the chat. Some person says yes, but I don't. Everyone doesn't seem to be responding. Can you? Who is on this call? Where is the host?
Sir?
Yeah. I was asking and you were not responding initially. So, all right, so let's go back. That's not all. So basically, we're just practicing on how to use these visuals, okay? So that's not all. So first of all, before we really go into insight and before we go into interpreting some of these, I'm just giving you the basics and fundamentals on how to do these things. Because if you can't do them, if you can't use the tools properly, of course, you really can't do a lot of problem solving, right? So look at this thing I did here now. You can see that the orange represents the strings and the blue represents the gross. The other blue, lighter blue, represents the nets. The darker blue represents the nets. Now, if you are doing an analysis and you see a case like this, you have the number of strings on the right here, and you have the number of the other values of the net and the gross on the left. So take note. Yeah. So if you notice, we've had the same number of strings throughout. That's 5 strings until this point where we had a little drop in the number of strings to 4, which seemed to have affected the production. It's also what's showed here in this plot, right? So we had an increase, an additional string come online, but who can notice something? Who observed something that we added an additional string, but do you notice that this well Taku East seems to have highest number of strings to be 6. Here we have 5 strings and we added 1, but you notice that it did not add to the production, right? So around this point, production came to a halt. Maybe there could be a number of reasons, which I don't know. It could be a lot of reasons, sometimes for protests, for issues with work staff, labor payments, stuff like that, or community, or in areas that are having issues, terrorists and all that. So a lot of reasons could be why flow station was shut down and wasn't producing at that particular point. But all this period there was no production, because you can see that the string was 0. Now, look at this very well. If at any point you notice that the string reduced and yet or reduced, let's look at other field. That's for Itako East. This is for Kwali West. And this is for Ozoro. Okay. So this is like for the individual field, and this is how you carry out you carry out some you carry out some exploration, you understand, trying to understand why some things. Now we are not going to go into that because I'm still trying to show you a few things that we're going to do before time elapses. So let's quickly I'm still trying to do a few things before. There are a number of other things you could do. For example, so many times you might want to have a good idea of the maybe the average water, the average nets over time, over a certain period of time, or the average gross. So you use what we call a card, yeah. For those of you that are not familiar, so you have this other card as well. Yeah, so I will just drag in the gross here, and I'm going to put in the average, select the average here. Yeah, so you can format this, of course. Let's put in the net as well. I will call the average as well. You can similarly use this other card. Okay, let's call this number of strings. Okay, let's just use this card. right. So these are some of the things you would normally put in your dashboard as reports. This is not some option, this should be counts or zero. This is something you should normally put in your, so with this, you can see the average oil production, the average net production, gross production. Then you can also see, if you want, sometimes you might want to put in a filter to see specific dates. And you would want to use a slicer as well. But this time around, you just carry in the date column and put in here. And you will notice that automatically a slider like this will be created. With this, you can actually manipulate, or you can actually adjust with the dates, adjust the dates to whichever way you want it. So it's showing here, it's a bit too small. Let me increase it a bit. Of course, you can always format it from here, increase the size, the header. Let me just turn off the header. And you can increase the size of the values. Good. So here you can see, you can put in any date, or you could just use this slider, and automatically all this thing in the page will be formatted. So let's quickly see how we can. There are other things we could do. Let's quickly see some other things we could do before we start looking into any chance we may have as solving any problem. Yeah, so another frequent question is usually things related to the BS and W, and let's say the BS and W, and maybe the gross, or the BS and W and the net. So if I use a line plot here, selecting a line plot, if I use a line plot here, BS and W on one side, and then number of strings on this other side, and you have the production data on the x-axis. Let me just give a little space to this. We're not going to do dashboard design right now, but all right, good. So this is what we have. So many times you might need to, or you might want to visualize this relationship between the BS and W and the net. Is it a sum of strengths, or is this supposed to be the net? Now, there's quite a lot about this data. There's quite a lot to do here, and a lot of questions to answer. Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't think we would have enough time to do that. But these are examples of some of the things you could do, right? And you could understudy it, or to show. For example, you can also show, you could use a pie chart here, for example, to show the number of the gross and the net, or the water product, and you could show a lot, right? Really, really a lot. Yeah, so and all this will be dynamic based on your dates here. right? So I could increase the size of this visual so that you could see it better. All right. So there is a lot you could do here, and we can't really go into them right now. But these are some of the things you could do on a simple canvas showing the various visualizations of the scope of your field performance, right? And so that will be it for now. But you are going to be there's quite a lot of interesting problems to solve, but we can't really do them right now. But I promise whenever I have the time again, or whenever we have the full course, those guys who will be doing the full course, you're going to have enough time to actually build on some specific industry problems as regards the now for this is a particular case of a flow of 3 flow stations or 3 fields, right? Serving supplying to 3 flow stations. And you can begin to imagine the number of questions that you could be asked and you could answer from the insights from this analysis, right? From the analysis, right? But for now, we are not going to do anything too deep because, of course, our time is up. So, but at this point, if you have a question, I want you to unmute. Even if you don't have a question, you want to give a comment so far about maybe if you have grabbed 1 or 2 things from the class, I want you to freely unmute. A host, please give them permission to unmute, right? I want one or 2 persons to just give a comment about the class or ask a question, and yeah, that will be it.
Yes, sir. Guys, anybody have any questions, please ask. I've given you the access. Anybody, guys? Just write it down in the chat box, no problem.
Okay, no questions. Comments, any comments? Did you gain anything from the class? All right. Someone says, when do we use Python? So if you look at the visualization tab here, so there's what we call Py. See the Py here, Python visual. So occasionally you might want to import a Python script you have written for a visual, right? And you might want to bring it in here. You might want to bring it in here. Once you write the code here, you are going to see that it's going to be showing, see this tab here, it's going to be showing the whatever it is you are coding here, right? See this visual element here. So basically that's how it works. the class is not about programming. You can see this Power BI. So it's for people who are interested in Power BI. We use Power BI a lot in the industry. So if you're interested in learning Power BI. So any other questions, any other comments before I call it a day here? All right, guys, I think I would have to call it a day here. So at least for those who never learned how to do, who never learned how to use visuals, do visuals in Power BI, at least I've walked you through a few things in Power BI, and then we started by loading in data sets. We talked about Power Query. The number of things I wanted to do, we couldn't do because of time. We loaded in this Power Query. You can see we have what we call query dependencies. See how, because sometimes it can get complex how the queries are connected. So using this to view the query dependencies is one fantastic thing you need to take along with you. Because doing oilfield data analytics, you discover that, or any other kind of analytics, you discover that there will be a lot of queries we are going to be tying together or bringing in, creating from another one and all that. So something like this. So we started this, the location of the file or the file data source, and then you have these three. Now, but there's still a lot more to learn beside what we have just done. It's by no means like what is not even close to 20% of some of the things we are going to be dealing with in the full data analytics course. Yeah, so we are going to be, why this is just a basic introduction to some of the how-tos. The actual problem solving starts when we begin to answer specific questions. So in the other data sets, which I couldn't do, that is even having more interesting stuff. So this is where we begin to talk about the oil water issue, gas oil water issue, the tubing head pressure, the sand, and all that. And in another data set, we'll talk about how you can incorporate compressor and pump hours. Use that for your analysis and see how you can discover discover insights and opportunities for better production and for more insightful decisions. So that will be all for now, guys. Have a really great time.
Okay, guys, we wrap up the session now. Thank you all for attending the session. If you have any queries, please message in the group. Thank you, guys. Thank you, sir.